Across the sun now. Across the sun now.
Agriculture is 80% of our economy in Kenya. So I can advise them to do agricultural courses.
They take the agriculture courses.
Yeah, they take the agricultural courses.
Iko pesa.
Iko pesa.
Oh, umeona pesa. Lakini unajua wewe ni mwana biashara.
Yeah. Iko pesa.
Make a date with me every Monday to Friday, 7:15 to 9:15 in the morning here at the Farmers Media, the breakfast show. Let us start the day right here. This is Noah Nasia. Welcome to another breakfast show right here from a Farmers Media. We are glad to be here with you. We are excited today to talk about some other things, just like we are always excited to give you some fresh guidance in terms of how to succeed as a farmer, and most importantly, how you can be able to get the best from your farm. And most importantly, our aim is to see how we can change the image of the African farmer, and also just the mindset from being a producer, somebody who masters getting to understand about what the farm looks like, to a business person making business decisions and not just passion-based farming decisions. This is your host, Noah Nasia Kadima. Remember to follow us on our social media handles, and our Farmers Media, that is on Facebook, A Farmers on Instagram, A Farmers Media on YouTube, and also follow me on @Nasialin on Facebook as well. Something very important about what we'll be discussing today is we break from the norm, and we're going to discuss something very interesting from the president's speech. That is our president, William Samoei Ruto, who Dr. William Samoei Ruto, who actually really impressed the way he put numbers yesterday, especially when it comes to agriculture. It's something that we get excited. I get excited when people talk about farming and all that. A few things that were highlighted that we will be talking about today. But why we're discussing this today is not just about what they have done and what government is continuing to do. What we are actually going to discuss today is the relation between record keeping, the importance of record keeping, and the speech that the president gave yesterday, how those numbers were playing out, and most importantly, we as farmers, what does record keeping look like? So that's what we're going to discuss today. Let us know where you are watching or listening to us from. Why this is important for you is we're going to deep dive. We're going to deep dive not just about the importance of record keeping, but we're actually going to talk about the importance of record keeping. Why you should keep why should you keep your records? How should you keep your records? And why they are very, very important. Now, before we go on, we are going to check out the traffic courtesy of Mathri Route. Very interesting today. We are seeing. Yesterday we did not have so many incidences to report on. Interesting. We are seeing some. Okay, interesting. Yes. So sorry. We are going to. Very, very interesting. Yeah. So, courtesy of Mathri Route, we are actually looking and seeing where the accidences or incidences to report on, and we are jumping on straight on. Let us know also if you have any incidences or accidents that you've seen, traffic jam. If you've seen anywhere, let us know as well in the comment section, as we are getting that done right here. We have been experiencing some very interesting traffic in the country, in some of the major towns in Kenya. But some people argue it's because of devolution. Many people have moved back into some of the towns there and stuff like that. We are not sure. So let us know about that. We are still waiting this topic. So before that, I'm being told that we will switch on into the weather forecast first, and then we will come back to that. Yes. So Marsabit, we'll start off with some of the towns that are out there. I don't know if you can be able to see on your screens. Yes, so we have Nairobi, as usual, rains. I was very surprised that one of my colleagues was actually telling us that there's a part of Nairobi that rained. I was very surprised. So yes, rains and sunny intervals. That's highs of 25 and lows of 15. Mombasa, we have highs of 28 and lows of 21. We have sunny intervals and rains. Very interesting that we're actually seeing rains in Mombasa up to now. This is fantastic. I'll just say this is fantastic because it's very interesting. We're also seeing Kisumu the same. It's like they've told each other the same. Eldoret, we're actually seeing highs of 24 and lows of 14, rains and sunny intervals. Nakuru, the temperature is cooling down a bit. Highs of 27, lows of 15. Nyeri, one of my favorite counties, Nyeri, lows of 13 degrees. Nyeri can really be colder. And highs of 23. Really good weather for farming activities going on out there. Marsabit, when I see Marsabit and I see rain, I'm so excited. You know, it's one hot, very fertile county in Kenya. Vast as well in size. A lot of resources that gotten from Marsabit as well. Kakamega, lows of 16 and highs of 29 degrees. Sunny intervals throughout. We are going to now towards the coast. So that is Lamu, Makindu, you know, from Makindu actually going down, Makindu, Lamu, Malindi. We're seeing highs of 28, lows of 20, 23 there. The towns of, if you stick back, go back to the north, we are seeing Mandera, Moyale, relatively good weather, apart from, Wajir as well. Lamu, Garissa, highs of 33, lows of 22 degrees. Yes, and then we go to towards the Rift Valley. Yes, that is Kitale, Trans Nzoia County, highs of 26 and lows of 15. Narok, highs of 26, lows of 12. Kericho is really one of the most beautiful towns and counties in the country. Rains and sunny intervals, highs of 25 and lows of 14. We have Kisii. I've never visited Kisii, by the way. I just passed. Yes, but we'll be going there to see some of the work that is supposed to be done there. Some of the farmers have actually called us and told us you need to come to Kisii and do this and check us out what we are doing. So we will be going there as well. Yes, so that is weather. We are interestingly today, for those who are watching us, who have just joined us, we have something very interesting with us that we would like to really share a lot with you is record keeping. What is the importance of record keeping? We'll also be having one of our in-house experts, Dr. Robert Mokio, who will be joining us in the next few minutes. He'll be telling us more about, we'll be discussing about the president's speech, what those numbers look like, especially for you as a smallholder farmer. So I will use the gadgets that we have here to look at the traffic updates. So the traffic update for today is very interesting. Areas that you need to watch out. Current situation on Jogoo Road, it's slow but moving. Fantastic. Here we get Mudangari Drive. There's a tree that has just fallen on the road. And then coming in here, checking out, there's an alert from Kenya Transporters on what the common forms of distracted driving. You know, they're saying don't use a don't text or use a cell phone when you're driving. Don't eat and drink. Okay, interesting. Adjusting vehicle controls when you're driving, talking to passengers, grooming such as combing hair or applying makeup, daydreaming. Lakini pia mnaiganga vitu vingine funny at daydreaming. Okay, interesting. Daydreaming or rubber trekking. Any other incident? We are seeing GM inbound kuna handshake ya trailer na Allion. Okay, interesting. There's an accident at one of the Ruby's petrol stations. Not sure where that happened. I'm not sure where that is. Something else we are seeing. So I think that is what we have now. No major incidences or to report on. Let us look at the Let us look at the live map to see whether we have any incidences to report on. Yes, so nothing much to report on the live map as well here. So that is actually what we have for now. We'll jump in now into the newspaper review and just get to see what is happening in the news within our country. And we are sure that, yes, there must be something that we have seen, especially from yesterday's speech. So, very interesting. Yeah, the political situation is deep. Is deep right now. We leave politics to politicians, as we always see. For us, we keep on doing what we do, and we do well. So we've seen the incident about the world coin, and this is very interesting that all that was happening, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. What kept me wondering about the world coin is just something very interesting. How do you go and get your eyeball checked and done whatever it was being done? Also showed the level of desperation that we have in terms of resources, in terms of limited resources that we have. Very interesting that that was something that really stood out for me, and I saw like, wow, interesting. That is really interesting. But we're also seeing that in our neighboring country, Uganda, the 20 people who have died from a boat accident. The famous finance bill, here the housing levy has been backdated to 1st of July, so that's something else to look at. I saw something very interesting about the questions about the forestry CS defending the lifting of the logging ban. That was a very interesting explanation. So this is starting off with the nation media, and then we have seen some very interesting things about the new young parliamentarians. There's a battle of supremacy between the young and the old and the senior ones. We're not talking old. Then going into standard media, yes, standard digital. We are seeing any of the headlines there. Yes, new funding formula to make varsity loans more expensive. Very interesting. Okay. Something interesting here. Yes, CS Kindiki suspends controversial WorldCoin, as we have seen also already. We have seen one of the guys who is termed to be the chairman of the men's, yeah, the boy child ambassador. Very interesting news here. State advertises tender for construction of 2,000 houses. We've heard about the housing levy already. And then something else we are seeing that, which we want to dwell on a bit here, is something very interesting about what the president said yesterday. Sorry. It's actually a very interesting discussion here that we would like to have, and we're having that discussion today. This discussion is about the fertilizer prices. We saw yesterday the president actually announced a significant change from, it was 7,000 shillings. From 7,000 shillings, it came all the way to 3,500 shillings and 2,500 shillings. So at the end of the day, we see that the reduction effective 1st of August. So that means that 2 days ago, fertilizer was now trading at 2,500 shillings. That is one of the part of the discussion that we'll be having today, and the importance of it. However, there's also some discussions that some of the things that were put out there by the president, and he specifically said that you need to double your quantity of fertilizer that you apply so that you get better yields. That is a discussion that we'll be having today, whether you need to double that or you need to do other things before that, which I think we will also have that discussion. However, one of the most important things that I actually picked from the speech of the president, apart from what brings joy to farmers and access to affordable fertilizer, is the fact that the numbers were so interesting. And that means that somebody was keeping those records really well, down from the ward level, going all the way to the it was being done the right way, so that was very interesting for me to see that, which we'll be discussing today. So let us go to the Star. the Star newspaper to see what are the headlines in the Star newspaper. Officials hold meeting over CS's locked out at State House. Very interesting. And that is also one of the things that we'll be talking about today with one of our experts, Dr. Mokio. The president was very categorical and actually said, how do you go late for work on the most important day? You're doing, today is the day probably the human resource team or manager is coming to see you guys and having to go out and discuss your performance, and you're just late or you're not available. You know, it was very interesting to hear the president calling the cooperatives CS Chelugui, and he was not available on phone. We could see that reaction on the president's face when he was actually making that speech. But that was very interesting because that is what happens in a normal business setup. That is what happens every day, you know. And for the president to actually do that, it actually shows that there's a laxity in the way sometimes we do things, because one of the most important things is timekeeping. I am one of the people who is not very good at timekeeping. I'm really working on it. But it's something that, very interestingly, when the president talked about it, which we'll be discussing later on in the show. So in the news, in the standard, in the Star newspaper, 1,000 police inspectors promoted. So Somalia, sorry for fielding record slow sprinter. Very interesting. We've seen what is happening in Nigeria, and we see that the foreign countries, they have started evacuating their own teams and people and citizens out. There's this debate by some guys who are saying that ECOWAS, the economic body for West Africa, is saying that now they want to attack Niger and free the president because of the coup that has happened there. And now we're seeing the military leaders, the junta in the different countries, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, and they're saying they're going to form a unity and going to attack ECOWAS in case ECOWAS makes that mistake. Very interestingly, Niger is also very interestingly. So that's a very interesting thing. What I don't see a lot in terms of the headlines is any agricultural activity going on, and that is why we want to make sure that all the time we are giving you these updates. Fantastic, great. So what did we get from the president's speech? And for me, one of the things that came out very strongly was the fact that you need to have your numbers right. You need to have numbers. I'm not saying they're all right, but you need to have those numbers making sense. So having numbers making sense, it means that you have to do something very critical. And that means you need to keep your records right. So let me sip my cup of something here. This cup I was gifted by somebody. I'll tell you guys about this a bit later on. So as we said yesterday, we were going to discuss about something like this. So this is just part of the records that we actually put out there. So this is a crop data sheet that we put next to our crops and farms. And so very interestingly, when we discuss about this, it reflects back on our activities, on what we do, and everything else falls in place at that particular time. So why is record keeping important? Why is it crucial at this time? You know, this is because agriculture plays a very integral role in the economy of Africa. More importantly, even in Kenya, as we talk about Kenya and all the other countries within sub-Saharan Africa and Africa at large, because a lot of fertile land that goes out there and all that. But record keeping is crucial. Why? Because it plays a significant role, yes, as we've said, in the productivity, in the financial management, and also promoting overall farm sustainability, because that's when you know what is happening. You remember when we were discussing, when we were getting trained on business education, the basic business education in primary school, record keeping was very important. That is how you can be able to determine your P&L, that is profit and loss. But today we will deep dive in that discussion about this. We'll talk about capex. What is capex in farming? What is opex? What is capital expenses? How do you recover these capital expenses and over what period? And then also something that is also very critical: what are the operational expenses? What do they look like? And why should you keep them? And as I said yesterday, there's very interesting things that we have always been looking at, and this is. Some of us put down as much as, if you eat an egg, we normally call it egg or smoky pasua. If you eat that, it means that there's something that is happening, that you're putting your records right. But which are these records that you should keep? Why should you keep these records? And then most importantly, how should you keep these records? So as we, for those who are joining us, this is a Farmers Media. We are discussing the role of record keeping, the importance of record keeping, why and how you should keep these records. But before that, I'd like to, and before our guest joins in, I'd just like to do something very interestingly. So I would like to highlight some of the things that the president actually mentioned, and allow me to actually make a reference to this. So the number one, he actually put it out very clearly that the cost of food in any household in Kenya rose up to 54%. So 54% of what you earn goes to food. But if you have kids like mine, I think it goes to 70%. Because they're eating all the time. These young kids, young guys, eating all the time. Something else that is very interesting, 70% of employment is from the agricultural sector. So 70%, out of 100 people, 70 are in the agricultural sector. Very interesting. Out of 1,000 people, 700 are from the agriculture sector. Out of 1 million people, 700,000 are from the agricultural sector. The other thing that was very interesting, apart from the cost of fertilizer going down from 7,000 shillings to 3,500 shillings, at that time at 3,500 shillings, the president actually put it across that close to 2 million, slightly over 2 million bags of fertilizer were delivered to farmers directly. Wow, interesting. The farmers were prepared, and 41,000 bags, 41 million bags of crop-specific, region-specific fertilizer since the onset of the rains. That was very interesting for me to see. When I was watching that speech, that is actually one of the things that really came across very loud, because this was crop specific, region specific. So you would not expect fertilizer from that is being given to farmers in Kajiado is the same fertilizer being given to farmers in Kitale. No, it was very different. And this is very interesting. So you as a farmer, if you received this fertilizer, let us know how and where you received it, how and where you kept it, how did you use it. You can also share with us some of the images from your farms and see, and let us know the significance. So 5 million farmers were registered during the campaign. I remember even I was also registered with my local administration, and 3.6 million e-vouchers were issued. Looking at these numbers, it means that there are some records that are being put. These are not just numbers that somebody came and told the president, right, this is a speech. This was somebody who sat down and did this. And they said numbers don't lie, for sure. Numbers will not lie. And that means that somebody is sitting down putting this. Something else that was also very interesting for me to hear was that the president was actually very categorical in praising farmers. That was unheard of in the past years in Africa. The president actually praised farmers for you doing what you're doing, putting out efforts, making use of the rains. I remember the rains really, it wasn't as heavy as it was, but in some areas like Mombasa, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, the rains were really good. So for me, hearing that was fantastic for me to see that. However, there's also some aspects of the speech that caught my attention, and one of the is that the president saying that if you double the application of fertilizer, you double your yield. That is something that is debatable. That is something that we need to debate and ask ourselves: is that true? Is it possible? He is also a very good farmer, and he actually said that is what happens to his farm. However, that has mixed reactions as well and when I talk about mixed reactions, I mean that could be debated, because it doesn't necessarily mean that if you double nitrogen, unless you're doubling the specific nutrients for the crops. Because if I double yield of double my application of phosphorus in a farm where phosphorus is really high, then it doesn't help much, So all that also goes back into the records that we are putting, and the records we are putting will help us will inform us that, for example, if I applied fertilizer, I got 20 bags of maize. What really helped me get 20 bags of maize? Is just a fertilizer, or can I go back and improve the health of my soil, as we discussed that yesterday? And then this fertilizer comes in as a booster, so that if all factors are constant, then you get a booster, then definitely your yield. Is there a seed variety? Can we and something that was very interesting from the president's speech, he did not put a bit around the bush. He did not go around it. He hit the nail on the head and said, we are giving you fertilizer, you do what you do. One thing is, because it is evident that farmers know what they need to do. What they do not know is then how, is when and how to use whatever they're given. So that they know that if I get this fertilizer, this is when I will apply it, these are the quantities I will apply, this is how I'll take care of the crop, so that once I have a maize farm and have fertilizer, then I also need to know how to take care of the crop by protecting the crop from fall armyworm, or if the infestation already got in the farm, how to prevent it from wasting my crop. So some of those things is what we here at Farmers Media want you to have by giving you this information. That's why behind me it says connect, learn and grow. So we want you to keep on learning in this. So before we jump into the record keeping, we have actually seen something very critical, very interesting, that the fertilizer is available. So you as a farmer, go out there. If you've not registered, make sure you've been registered by your local administration, that is the chief, assistant chiefs. Make sure that you've registered. Make use of this fertilizer. Do not say that there's no fertilizer, or there are no queues. By the way, I've never seen queues when I've gone to collect to buy the fertilizer. So make sure you're registered. If you have been registered, let us know where you've been registered. We'll be sharing later on in the day the areas, the National Cereals Produce Board centers where you will be able to go and get this fertilizer. So something also that we got from the speech was the fact that for the first time, as I've mentioned earlier, farmers were actually praised for doing what they do. Great. So this is a Farmers Breakfast Show. We are taking a short break. When we come back from the break, we will have our expert, our in-house expert, who will be telling us more about the president's speech, and then we will deep dive into the record keeping, why it is important, how and when, how you should keep it. This is a Farmers Breakfast. We'll be right back.
Losing out on your crops or livestock can be a huge problem. With changing weather, there will be more unexpected losses. Have you heard about agricultural insurance? By paying a small amount of money each month, you can get paid out for serious losses to your crop or livestock. It is more affordable than you think. For a dairy cow valued at 100,000 shillings, the cost of insurance is 3.5% of that value. So, 3,500 shillings. That's about 10 shillings per day. or 1.5 liters of milk a week. Here's how to get insured. Contact an insurance agent. Someone will come and assess the expected yields from your crops or value of your animals. The insurer will then give you a cost and plan for your insurance. You pay the premium. That's the amount you need to pay to be insured for 1 year. When making changes to your farm, whether it's planting a new crop or investing in drip irrigation, you likely need money to begin with. Remember, it may also take time before you start making your money from the changes you have made. You can consider borrowing from a bank, a SACCO, or a chama. Note down how you will use a loan and how you'll make the money back. The bank will charge you a percentage of your loan, called interest. This is how the bank makes money back from you. Choose a loan with low interest. The bank will also ask for collateral. This is something they can take in case you can't repay the loan. For instance, a title deed or your car logbook. If you cannot repay your loan and interest back, let your bank know as soon as possible. If you borrow money from a savings group or chama, you may need to make weekly or monthly deposits. Generally, their interest is low and you do not need to provide collateral. Smart farmers know savings are important. They can help you through hard times, like when you have poor yields, or help when buying inputs in the new season, paying your labor, or if you want to start planting a crop you have not grown before. Work out how much you can afford to save each month and stick to it. If you can make extra money, add it to your savings. Say for example you need 20,000 shillings for the next planting season. Plan to save 5,000 shillings each month for 4 months. Think about where you'll keep the money that you are saving. Bank is a good option. Your money will be safe, and if you keep it there for long, you can make interest. Remember, some bank accounts you have to pay for, so try to find one that's free. Keeping your money on your mobile phone is also good. A budget is an overview of the costs and incomes of your business. Let's say you want to grow potatoes on half an acre. First, note down all the things you'll need in order to grow your crop and find out how much they cost. For instance, certified potato seeds, 24,000 shillings. Fertilizer, 6,000 shillings. Labor, 3,000 shillings, which gets you to a total cash spend of 33,000 shillings. Say you'll harvest 150 50-kilogram bag of potato, which you sell at 1,000 shillings each. That gives you total cash earnings of 150,000 shillings. Now, this is a really important part. Work out your profit. Subtract the total cash spent from cash earned. In our potato example, that works out at a profit of 117,000 Kenyan shillings.
Across the sun now, across the sun now.
Agriculture is 80% of our economy in Kenya. So I can advise them to do agricultural courses.
They take the agriculture courses.
Yeah, they take the agricultural courses.
Iko pesa.
Iko pesa.
Oh, umeona pesa. Lakini unajua wewe ni mwana biashara bana.
Yeah. Iko pesa.
Make it
welcome back to a Farmer's Breakfast show right here from County 034. And as we were discussing before we went for a break, the numbers make sense. The numbers always make sense. But if the numbers don't make sense, then it means that something was not being done right. So we want to jump into the discussion of the day. And this discussion of the day is basically importance of record keeping. The importance of record keeping in for you as a farmer. I mean, those are some of the basics that we have to look at. And why this is important is because it helps you as a farmer to make informed decisions. That is number one. That is very important. It also helps you as a farmer to improve productivity. It helps you as a farmer to improve your financial management skills. It helps you access credit and support. We'll deep dive into that and see what that looks like. It helps you to manage your farm right in the farm in terms of crop management, pest management, crop rotation. You know, when you're planting, you know what you'll plant next and how. It helps with market planning. It helps with compliance and regulation. It helps long-term planning of your farm. So this is very important for you to actually to look at, you know, and so I don't know. We are getting joined in by one of our internal experts, that is Dr. Mwakio. Dr. Mwakio, I don't know if you can hear us. I don't know if Dr. Mwakio can hear us. Okay, so I'm being asked if you can turn the camera. Dr. Mwakio, I cannot hear you. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll continue as we get that done right. So as we talk about record keeping and something that is very important for us to do that. So we've seen that it helps us in decision making. So what does that look like? What does it mean, decision making? So this records, when you put accurate records, then it helps you know and understand your farm from a business perspective. So when I talk about business perspective, it means you know the activities that are being done on your farm, you know the yields, you know the inputs, you know the expenses over a certain period. So you know this season, this is what I spent, next season, this is what I will spend. And interestingly also to note is, where does this data come from? So this data then allows you as a farmer to analyze what works well for your farm, what does not work well for your farm. How do you go around making sure that these activities are being done in the right way? We've just seen a video which I would like to again replay two videos. One video is both videos are about budgeting, about financial inclusion, and the other one is about insurance. So I'd request our director to play those videos. As we play those videos, take note of those statements that are there, so that then we come back and now talk about financial management from your farm perspective. So I will ask our director. Very interestingly, so once we have those videos ready, you will watch them, 3 videos, so that we are able to ask ourselves, okay, what is working well? What is the importance of records? Because even when you go to ask for a loan facility, for any business, not just farming, any business, you'll be asked about your records. What is your P&L? What is your profit and loss? You know, your bank statement, which is your financial record, by the way. So let us have these videos up, and then I don't know if the video is already up. All right. So I cannot hear the director. So very interestingly, so let us have one of them up first, and then we continue as we change to have those 3 other videos that will be shown of budget, financial inclusion, and insurance, and see the importance of record keeping.
budget is an overview of the costs and incomes of your business. Let's say you want to grow potatoes on half an acre. First, note down all the things you'll need in order to grow your crop and find out how much they cost. For instance, certified potato seeds, 24,000 shillings. Fertilizer, 6,000 shillings. Labor, 3,000 shillings, which gets you to a total cash spend of 33,000 shillings. Say you'll harvest 150 50-kilogram bag of potato, which you sell at 1,000 shillings each. That gives you total cash earnings of 150,000 shillings. Now, this is a really important part. Work out your profit. Subtract the total cash spent from cash earned. In our potato example, that works out at a profit of 117,000 Kenyan shillings. When making changes to your farm, whether it's planting a new crop or investing in drip irrigation, you likely need money to begin with. Remember, it may also take time before you start making your money from the changes you have made. You can consider borrowing from a bank, a SACCO, or a chama. Note down how you will use a loan and how you make the money back. The bank will charge you a percentage of your loan, called interest. This is how the bank makes money back from you. Choose a loan with low interest. The bank will also ask for collateral. This is something they can take in case you can't repay the loan. For instance, a title deed or your car logbook. If you cannot repay your loan and interest back, let your bank know as soon as possible. If you borrow money from a savings group or chama, you may need to make weekly or monthly deposits. Generally, their interest is low and you do not need to provide collateral. Smart farmers know savings are important. They can help you through hard times, like when you have poor yields, or help when buying inputs in the new season, paying your labor, or if you want to start planting a crop you have not grown before. Work out how much you can afford to save each month and stick to it. If you can make extra money, add it to your savings. Say for example you need 20,000 shillings for the next planting season. Plan to save 5,000 shillings each month for 4 months. Think about where you'll keep the money that you are saving. Bank is a good option. Your money will be safe, and if you keep it there for long, you can make interest. Remember, some bank accounts you have to pay for, so try to find one that's free. Keeping your money on your mobile phone is also good. When making changes to your farm, whether it's planting a new crop or investing in drip irrigation, you likely need money to begin with. Remember, it may also take time before you start making your money from the changes you have made. You can consider borrowing from a bank, a SACCO, or a chama. Note down how you will use a loan and how you'll make the money back. The bank will charge you a percentage of your loan, called interest. This is how the bank makes money back from you. Choose a loan with low interest. The bank will also ask for collateral. This is something they can take in case you can't repay the loan. For instance, a title deed or your car logbook. If you cannot repay your loan and interest back, let your bank know as soon as possible. If you borrow money from a savings group or chama, you may need to make weekly or monthly deposits. Generally, their interest is low and you do not need to provide collateral.
to see that we see that it's very important. Yeah, I'm hearing. I don't know if you can get Dr. Mokio. Can you hear me? Dr. Mokio, can you hear me? All right. So as we wait for Dr. Mokio to come to join us, we go on and just talk about that. So record keeping is vital. It's very important. But now, what are these type of records that farmers should keep? That is also something very interesting and critical. What are these records that farmers should keep? So we'll take a very short 1-2 minute break, and when we come back, we now dive deeper inside what are these records that farmers should actually keep. We'll talk about crop production, financial records, inventory records, weather records. So allow us to go for a short break, and then we come back. Make sure you have your pen and your paper for us to be able to break this down for you. This is a farmer's breakfast.
Across the sun now. Across the sun now.
Such as 80%.
A budget is an overview of the costs and incomes of your business. Let's say you want to grow potatoes on half an acre. First, note down all the things you'll need in order to grow your crop and find out how much they cost. For instance, certified potato seeds, 24,000 shillings. Fertilizer, 6,000 shillings. Labor, 3,000 shillings, which gets you to a total cash spend of 33,000 shillings. Say you'll harvest 150 50-kilogram bag of potato, which you sell at 1,000 shillings each. That gives you total cash earnings of 150,000 shillings. Now, this is a really important part. Work out your profit. Subtract the total cash spent from cash earned. In our potato example, that works out at a profit of 117,000 Kenyan shillings. Smart farmers know savings are important. They can help you through hard times, like when you have poor yields, or help when buying inputs in the new season, paying your labor, or if you want to start planting a crop you have not grown before. Work out how much you can afford to save each month and stick to it. If you can make extra money, add it to your savings. Say for example you need 20,000 shillings for the next planting season. Plan to save 5,000 shillings each month for 4 months. Think about where you'll keep the money that you are saving. Bank is a good option. Your money will be safe, and if you keep it there for long, you can make interest. Remember, some bank accounts you have to pay for, so try to find one that's free. Keeping your money on your mobile phone is also good. When making changes to your farm, whether it's planting a new crop or investing in drip irrigation, you likely need money to begin with. Remember, it may also take time before you start making your money from the changes you have made. You can consider borrowing from a bank, a SACCO, or a chama. Note down how you will use a loan and how you'll make the money back. The bank will charge you a percentage of your loan, called interest. This is how the bank makes money back from you. Choose a loan with low interest. The bank will also ask for collateral. This is something they can take in case you can't repay the loan. For instance, a title deed or your car logbook. If you cannot repay your loan and interest back, let your bank know as soon as possible. If you borrow money from a savings group or chama, you may need to make weekly or monthly deposits. Generally, their interest is low and you do not need to provide collateral. A budget is an overview of the costs and incomes of your business. Let's say you want to grow potatoes on half an acre. First, note down all the things you'll need in order to grow your crop and find out how much they cost. For instance, certified potato seeds, 24,000 shillings. Fertilizer, 6,000 shillings. Labor, 3,000 shillings, which gets you to a total cash spend of 33,000 shillings. Say you'll harvest 150 50-kilogram bag of potato, which you sell at 1,000 shillings each. That gives you total cash earnings of 150,000 shillings. Now, this is a really important part. Work out your profit. Subtract the total cash spent from cash earned. In our potato example, that works out at a profit of 117,000 Kenyan shillings. Smart farmers know savings are important. They can help you through hard times, like when you have poor yields, or help when buying inputs in the new season, paying your labor, or if you want to start planting a crop you have not grown before. Work out how much you can afford to save each month and stick to it. If you can make extra money, add it to your savings. Say for example you need 20,000 shillings for the next planting season. Plan to save 5,000 shillings each month for 4 months. Think about where you'll keep the money that you are saving. Bank is a good option. Your money will be safe, and if you keep it there for long, you can make interest. Remember, some bank accounts you have to pay for, so try to find one that's free. Keeping your money on your mobile phone is also good.
Across the sun now. Across the sun now.
Hey, this is my director ananirudisha tu kama anakula njugu. Anasema utamu wa njugu ni kula moja moja. Welcome back to the Farmer's Breakfast. This is your host Noana Seli Kadima. I was having some groundnuts that I harvested from my farm. I sold to another guy. Then I met him selling, and he was selling at 3 times more. So has been a change career. Anyway, welcome back. We are hoping that we've got Dr. Makio. I don't know, Dr. Makio, if you can hear. Dr. Makio, can you hear me? All right, so we'll continue with our discussion, and the discussion that we're having is... Dr. Makio, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Hey, na kwani ulikuwa umeenda shimo gani leo?
Ai bana, hivi mitambo bana si vitu vya kuchezea. Nilikuja na mimi.
Ama mtambo imesema unataka kuchambua nini speech ya president ikasema ikafanya hiyo kitu.
Pengine wewe unajua bwana, inaita coach.
Tell me how are you?
I'm fine, naona unakula tu njugu tu peke yako.
Wanasema utamu wa njugu ni kukula mmoja mmoja. Sasa tell me.
Yes.
What did you make from the president's speech?
Well, the president is just trying to really justify the policies that he has come out with for the last probably 1 year. He's actually talked a lot. He made a lot of points, of
Mm-hmm.
which we don't suppose they have not been brought out to the limelight. You see, he said that he's working with the county government. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a lot of things that he talked about that we have not really been keen on. We've been into too much politics in this country that we've forgotten the strides that we've made in agriculture. And from what I noted out, we're making a little baby steps. Yeah, not like we've done much, but we're making baby steps. And I hope from like you talked about it in the morning, numbers will actually vindicate him in future. Well, he started by talking about us having 5 successive failed harvests. You see, I remember before COVID in 2019 and then 2020, 2021, I mean, we've had very poor harvest coupled with the drought that has been hitting the country. So he's trying to let us know that we are trying to achieve some kind of movement in agriculture. See, he's talking about moving from the current, last year we had about 40 million bags, yeah? He talked about this season alone coming, we'll be having about 44 million bags. I hope that is going to be achievable, right? But remember, like he said, agriculture accounts for 70% of the workforce in Kenya. I mean, 70% of employment in Kenya comes from agriculture. Just let me joke with you kidogo. Ukiona watu wanakimbia, I was even asking myself, why are all those guys going to collect 7,000 free money from selling their personal data and ameacha mashamba nyumbani. You're leaving too much land that you can make double that amount, but you're going to get free money by selling your personal data. Anyway, that's for another day. So the president was talking about the bottom-up policy that they had tried to achieve in the previous government. Remember the bottom-up policy, which had very good intention, only that it was marred by the problem that why he was trying to vindicate himself from that the failed harvest before he took over as the president. So one thing he said is that neglecting to invest in agriculture deprives the economy to grow steadily. I liked that point. Yeah, he said neglecting to invest in agriculture deprives the economy to grow steadily. Now that causes unemployment and inequality. Right now we are complaining about cost of living. You're hearing right now we have shortage of sugar. Oh, mahindi iko juu. But one thing he talked about that I was really impressed is that the fertilizer prices have gone down, yeah, from 3,500 down to 2,500. I was just seeing something that we just put there. It was you equated it at 6,000 shillings per 50 kg bag. So if you take it down to 2,500 and you do your calculation, you'll realize that a farmer, an investment like that will significantly go down by, let's say, about 15,000 shillings, which is quite good. Now, what else did he talk about? He talked about the targeted 61 million bags annually. I don't know if that's going to be achievable or that's debatable, because from 40 million to 61 million, that is going to be a little bit a challenge for farmers. Now, the subsidized fertilizer. What is it going
Yeah.
to? How is it going to help the farmers? How's the subsidized? What he talked about the fertilizer that
Mm-hmm.
was really deep is that it is tailor made. Yeah, it is
Yes. Crop specific, region
to suit
specific.
farmer in terms of nutrient specific. Like if
Yes.
it's a fertilizer that is supposed to go to Baringo, it is nutrient specific to the soil type that is going to Baringo. I don't know if people have noted when you're going to pick up your fertilizer.
Let me ask you, Doctor.
And then,
There's something that the president also brought out and said that you need to double the quantity of fertilizer, and when you double it, then you double your yield. What do you think is true about that?
I feel like that was not quite precise because, for example, if you double, let's say you're looking at your farm, maybe you just need higher phosphate or you need higher nitrogen, and you double the nitrogen on. It's all chemical specific or element specific. You don't just double or triple like you said. The bags, yeah. You cannot just wake up and say, I'm going to triple the bag unless it's specific, like he said. If it's chemical specific, let's say calcium, we need a lot of calcium, or we need double calcium, or we need double nitrogen for standardized phosphorus, or whichever the way. That is achievable. But you can just not wake up and say, I'm doubling or tripling, like you said, in future to triple the amount of fertilizer. That is where experts come in. You cannot just say, double, unless it is nutrient specific. Yeah, it is custom made or customized, like you said. Yeah.
Yes. So
but that is debatable because I myself want to move. Yes.
If you look at it now, there's something that really caught my attention was the fact that the president was very categorical. He was very, not about accurate, but he had numbers playing very well. What do you think that is what should farmers copy from that when it comes to record keeping?
Okay, it's good enough because where he got the, one thing you have to realize is that in agriculture is devolved, so you need to get to work. The national government is working closely with the county government, and county government goes down to the lowest farmer down there in the village. Now, that is where he got his numbers. Yeah. Now let's look at record keeping. Yeah. Now, for example, if you keep your records well, this season I managed to use this amount of fertilizer. I was able to achieve this amount of bags of maize or potatoes or nyanyas, and this is the wastage, yeah, because we also talked about post-harvest wastages, which was very important.
Yeah.
Now, if you have such records, it's very important for even a farm extension service provider or worker to be able to project. You see, if you're just a farmer that just digs your farm, you don't even have records. Even the government cannot be able to intervene in case they want to know what is wrong. For example, this season you planted maize, this amount of maize, yeah. And then you harvested this amount of bags.
Yes.
And then the next season, so if you don't have proper records, even the government cannot plan for you. You see, you yourself, you cannot plan for yourself in future. Yeah.
So now, I know time has just gone very fast. So what do you think, from the speech that the president had, what do you think the government needs to do now to sensitize more farmers to go back to the farm? What do they need to do?
The first thing is county government, and the county government works directly with the national government. They need to have coordination. You see, he talked about things like storage. Yeah?
Yes.
Storage. He talked about having more storage facilities. County government working with National Cereals and Produce Board, having more storage facilities for the farmers. And then more importantly, getting rid of this middlemen, these conmen, like you said, once we get rid of these guys, the farmers can be able to, work directly, And then, he talked about the e-voucher system. You see, this e-voucher system that is working with Safaricom through the ICT department, it's very important because it's going to help farmers and it's going to also help the government have proper records of the farmers, the produce, and the amount of money. And then remember, you also talked about corporation, which most people don't even, most farmers know that agricultural finance corporation can give you funding. Remember last year we talked about a source of funds for farming because most people don't even know that they can be able to get farming from funds from such institutions. Now, the government was giving Agricultural Finance Corporation 2 billion per financial year. He's raised it to 10 billion, which is very good. Now, farmers can be able to get access to funds. You have access to funds, especially this smallholder or middle holder farmers. They can be able to improve their yields as long as they're able to, have better returns on investments. And you can only do that if you coordinate and work with the government, and also Agricultural Finance Corporation has its own experts who can be able to, help the farmer on the ground. So these are the things that farmers need to understand. And then he also talked about mechanization. Remember, one of the president's pledges was giving, not wheelbarrow, sorry, giving tractors. He talked about in his speech about providing 10,000 tractors, working with the investors to have a local assembly so that farmers can be able to get access to tractors, which is more important because you see people are still using crude ways of digging, or of cultivating their farm.
Not
So at the end of
not
the day, it's
crude.
very important that
Whatever to on
mechanization.
air.
Yep.
It's not crude. That
Yeah,
is what
boss.
we
Acha
can
kutumia
afford.
ng'ombe. Acha kutumia ng'ombe. Yeah, so government facilitate mechanization. I wish he talked about also use of technology in farming. If
So
the
actually,
government can be
that
able
was the
to,
question I was going to next. What is this thing that now we can clearly see? For example, the president did not touch on technology. He did not touch about on seeds, GMO seeds. He touched specifically on production. What does that tell you about the government's position moving forward?
remember we are dealing with a politician here. So what you're trying to do is just reinforce his. He's insisting on production. That
Mhm.
is his agenda in agriculture. So he was trying to, show that he's made a lot of steps in the production part of agriculture,
And does that
and
mean
he's trying
then,
to.
if you look at it critically, you as someone who has dealt with farmers, do you think farmers prefer the subsidy in production or in consumption? Considering now our industry, sugar industry, is going down because raw materials are at lowest levels, maize is going not really going down, but the levels, the production, I mean, moving from 44,000 bags back to 39,000, and last year 2021 being at 40 million. What guarantee is this that farmers will go, I mean, with all that government is doing, will go and embrace subsidy at production? What the guarantee? I cannot hear you, Doctor. I cannot hear Doctor. Yeah, so as we were discussing this, the production of maize has actually dropped from 44 million bags to 39 million bags. Not last 2021, we saw a steep rise by an increase of 1 million bags to 40 million bags. Where we are now, we cannot tell until the harvests are there. We have seen news going around that farmers will be expecting bumper harvests. And again, that goes back to what we were discussing today, record keeping, the importance. So as we wind up, we want to discuss a few things, actually 5 things that you need to understand what kind of records to should put. So we'll start with crop production. What are these records that you should put? So these are planting records, as we saw in this chart that we had. So that is planting records. Planting records comes with the number of plants you've planted, the area you've planted, the plot number, plot name, probably variety of crops that you've planted, pest and disease concerns, what are the occurrences and the treatments, what you have done. Soil testing result is very important when you're doing this as well. Again, when you talk about financial records, then what are you putting? You're putting in income from sales, expenses that you've had, and these expenses are categorized in 2. One is the capex, that is capital expenses, things like irrigation systems, tanks, probably tractor costs, so those are the bigger costs that you've incurred. Then we have the operational costs, what we call OPEX, that is now things like labor, fertilizer, weeding, stuff like that, things that you use money every day on. And then you also put the crop production per unit area. You look at the loans and credit facilities that you have, receipts and invoices. And these ones, it would be good if you would be able to adopt to a digital method of keeping these records. Because when you put them in handwriting, the ink fades, sometimes the book gets lost. But when it's there digitally, you can access it anywhere. Inventory records, you also have to put in. You need to know when did you buy seed, what quantity, what variety of seed, the equipment that you have in the farm, any machinery inventory that you have. It could be, as Dr. has said, jembe and crude things, that machinery. But no, you need to keep to know how many rakes do you have, how many jembes do you have, how many fork jembes do you have, how many pangas do you have, and all that. You also need to keep a record of livestock inventory. Yesterday we visited a farmer who really understood what they do from a record keeping perspective. They knew how many cows they have, how many they are planning to have in the next 2 years, the quantity of milk that they are projecting to get, and to the extent that now they've actually even gone ahead and purchased a cooling system for the milk, something that will be able to help pasteurize the milk so that they can be able to sell their own milk directly to the market. Weather and climate data is very important. We are deep in the discussion about climate change. So you need to know what are the rainfall patterns in your area, as temperature records, and that is one of the things that we try as much as possible and give you every day here on the Breakfast Show. Market and sales records, very important. What are the market prices? So it means that you also do research because you're doing a business. And then also the sales records, buyer information, that is who are you buying. And one of the projects that we're running is called the Agri-linkages, better known as the Affordable Transport and Logistics Services Project, that we are working on in partnership with the UK Kenya Tech Hub, funded by the UK Aid, to get to understand how can farmers access better buyers, better prices, better markets, and affordable transport and logistics services, which we will also be sharing more about that. Then what are the labor records? Labor records are very interesting. How many hours have been worked, people have worked, what have they done, what activities have you paid for, do you need permanent workers of the farm, or we can have a mix of permanent and some casual. And then of importance, the livestock management records, which very important. I am being told that Daktari is back. Daktari, can you hear me?
Well, technology, man, is not the best. The middle of
the jungle. I saw some of the photos that you had. You had put, and very interesting. So as we wind up, Daktari, what do you think farmers should do now that fertilizer has dropped in prices?
It's quite easy, my friend. First of all, like the president said, it's the mandate of the county government sure that these guys actually give their fertilizers. So he's encouraged the county government of the fertilizers that are supposed to be given to the farmers, and sensitization will go down to the chiefs, so that people can be able to get the fertilizer. They are approaching the short train, and this is a time when people are supposed to be going to pick up the subsidized fertilizer, as it was. But then I was looking at the FAO records, maybe later on. It's actually fertilizer prices are actually dropping worldwide. I think there's a lot of mitigation in the world so that fertilizer goes down. So we need to take advantage of that as farmers, especially now that prices are going down. And then President was saying by yesterday that there are 34,000 subsidized fertilizers that were sold. That means
Exactly.
have really understood the importance of having fertilizer to improve your crop yield. So, and then you see, he also talked about arable farming.
Yes.
It's debatable because we are trying to stop this manner of dependence. We can be telling people to use fertilizer. And yesterday, the president said, you double your fertilizer. You know what? Ule farmer Ushago atasema if he said four fertilizers, two
Yes.
fertilizers, two will do. Why can't I even use five? You see, some crazy person might say, if two will double my yield, why can't I do five? And then what will be the result? You see, will just fail. So there's a lot of sensitization that needs to be done on the ground. Not buying the fertilizer, teach the farmers how to use the fertilizer. Like the way you just throw fertilizer. I've seen it in these sides of Itengela where people don't even know how to talk. You see, so it needs a lot of keenness, and that's where extension service. I keep on insisting, extension uh, services should invest there more so that farmers are taught. Uh, uh, Remember we talked last week, 2 weeks ago, about the El Nino rains coming, and that can challenge to the the harvesting that is
Yes. So,
required.
so Daktari, as we finalize on this, and we've seen what the president has said, and also that gives the duty now goes back to the farmers in terms of what to do, how to access this. One thing that I did not hear yet is the role of extension services from government, national government, as well as probably even a good partnership between the national government and the county governments to offer extension services to farmers so that soil testing is paramount. Soil health improvement is something that is being done consistently across the country. As we close this, what are your final words, Dr. Ray?
Yeah, like you said, there's need to have that kind of partnership, record taking, so that the president was keen about numbers. Agriculture is all about. We cannot project the future without having good numbers, and the only way we can all go out and get numbers even down to places like here in Kitengela and Dani is by investing in extension services. Those days during my time, they used to give them Honda. You remember those Hondas, those piki. Invest in those guys so that they can go deep into those realms. They can be able to see and get records and be able, so we can be able to project. We are suffering food prices and starvation and all this because somebody just goes. We cannot just keep on blaming COVID came and went. We cannot now blame we cannot blame a lack of rain. Right now we have rains across the country. Even so, from your weather forecast, it rain almost everywhere in the country. But so next time we have nobody to blame for failed harvest. And we are to blame, we have to blame ourselves because we have everything. We have the manpower. So we are not going to start pointing fingers when it comes and when food prices go up, or we'll start saying the shortage in Nyanya. Like for example, there's shortage in right now. There's a big shortage of onions.
Yes.
Where we normally get our onions. Soon you'll start hearing we have tomatoes. So it's all about us to blame. You have the
Yes.
farm, you know what you can do. If you have a problem, go to the county office, they'll be able to assist you. Sijui unacheka nini? Hebu nisaidie kucheka.
Thank you very much, Daktari. I know this can go on. So thank you very much for your time. And for those who've been watching us, we want to thank you for having tuned in. And as I finalize, I'd like to leave you with a statement. The statement is a very interesting statement here from a friend of mine who has always motivated many of us. Her journey has been a very interesting journey. And she says today that appreciate the journey that you are in. Even if it's not where you want to be, every season serves a purpose. That is Amakova Wala. So that is a very interesting encouragement for you. Appreciate the part of the journey that you are in. It doesn't mean whether you wanted to be there at that point or much further. That is where you are. Every season serves a purpose. Get a learning out of it. But most importantly, develop an attitude of gratitude. This has been a Farmer's Breakfast Show for all those who have made sure this is a success. Our producer, Mary Oswero, and director, Dotrin Nakinyi, and all those who have made sure that this is a success. We appreciate that. And those who've been watching, remember to continue watching and tune into our social media platforms to be able to get this and much more so that you connect, learn, and grow. See you tomorrow.
Across the sun now. Across the sun now.
Agriculture is 80% of our economy in Kenya. So I can advise them to do agricultural courses.
They take the agriculture courses.
Yeah, they take the agricultural courses.
Iko pesa.
Iko pesa.
Oh, umeona pesa. Lakini unajua wewe ni mwana biashara bana.
Yeah. Iko pesa.
Make a date with me every Monday to Friday, 7:15 to 9:15 in the morning here at the Farmers Media, the breakfast show. Let us start the day right here. This is Noana Sia.
Losing out on your crops or livestock can be a huge problem. With changing weather, there will be more unexpected losses. Have you heard about agricultural insurance? By paying a small amount of money each month, you can get paid out for serious losses to your crop or livestock. It is more affordable than you think. For a dairy cow valued at 100,000 shillings, the cost of insurance is 3.5% of that value. So, 3,500 shillings. That's about 10 shillings per day, or 1.5 liters of milk a week. Here's how to get insured. Contact an insurance agent. someone will come and assess the expected yields from your crops or value of your animals. The insurer will then give you a cost and plan for your insurance. You pay the premium. That's the amount you need to pay to be insured for 1 year. That's it. When making changes to your farm, whether it's planting a new crop or investing in drip irrigation, you likely need money to begin with. Remember, it may also take time before you start making your money from the changes you have made. You can consider borrowing from a bank, a SACCO, or a chama. Note down how you will use a loan and how you'll make the money back. The bank will charge you a percentage of your loan, called interest. This is how the bank makes money back from you. Choose a loan with low interest. The bank will also ask for collateral. This is something they can take in case you can't repay the loan. For instance, a title deed or your car logbook. If you cannot repay your loan and interest back, let your bank know as soon as possible. If you borrow money from a savings group or chama, you may need to make weekly or monthly deposits. Generally, their interest is low and you do not need to provide collateral. Smart farmers know savings are important. They can help you through hard times, like when you have poor yields, or help when buying inputs in the new season, paying your labor, or if you want to start planting a crop you have not grown before. Work out how much you can afford to save each month and stick to it. If you can make extra money, add it to your savings. Say for example you need 20,000 shillings for the next planting season. Plan to save 5,000 shillings each month for 4 months. Think about where you'll keep the money that you are saving. Bank is a good option. Your money will be safe, and if you keep it there for long, you can make interest. Remember, some bank accounts you have to pay for, so try to find one that's free. Keeping your money on your mobile phone is also good. A budget is an overview of the costs and incomes of your business. Let's say you want to grow potatoes on half an acre. First, note down all the things you'll need in order to grow your crop and find out how much they cost. For instance, certified potato seeds, 24,000 shillings. Fertilizer, 6,000 shillings. Labor, 3,000 shillings, which gets you to a total cash spend of 33,000 shillings. Say you'll harvest 150 50-kilogram bag of potato, which you sell at 1,000 shillings each. That gives you total cash earnings of 150,000 shillings. Now, this is a really important part. Work out your profit. Subtract the total cash spent from cash earned. In our potato example, that works out at a profit of 117,000 Kenyan shillings.